It's been said that if you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there. Sadly, this road to nowhere is being traveled by too many businesses in their approach to strategy and business planning. Marcia Steele is a specialist in helping businesses to correct their course. Born in Jamaica, Marcia Steele has counseled some of the world's most admired companies and is a top growth strategy and management consultant. Listen as Marcia Steele explains how to use strategic thinking to improve strategic planning.
Today we're going to talk about strategic thinking. Many of us have heard about strategic planning. Many of us have been involved with strategic planning. But how many of us do strategic thinking? When I have an opportunity to interview and speak with presidents and CEOs, project managers, chairmen, I ask them, what do you wish your leadership team paid more attention to? What do you wish they did more of? Many times the answer is, I wish they would think strategically. So today we're going to talk about strategic thinking. We're going to talk about 3 specific things. One, we're going to talk about strategic posture. What does that mean? Then we're going to look at how do we increase our return on investment? How do we focus so that we get the greatest leverage or the greatest return for what we do? And the third thing is a jewel. Many people don't know what makes something strategic. After today, when you meet with someone or they come to you and say, this is a strategy we're going to use, ask them, what makes it strategic? And if they can't answer, you can help them. Strategic planning isn't planning for the future. Rather, it is thinking about the future of our present decisions. So let's talk about how we're going to frame our future decisions so that we can plan to get greater results. Okay? Now here's why this is important. The game has changed, so the way we play the game has to change. See, many companies, they were caught either between the status quo or a crisis. Oh, this is a problem, so let me do this, and they run and do this. Wow, got that done. So then they go back into normalcy, complacency mode. Next crisis, so they do this little dance, okay? We don't want the dance. The process many companies have gone through to stop this dance. And see if you can identify with this. First, they said we must reorganize. Been there? Yes. Let's re-engineer. Did that. Then they realign. Now they say we've got to realize we need to do something else. We need to think differently. So it's not about re-engineering, reorganizing, realigning. All those things are not enough if we don't learn to think strategically. One of my favorite quotes is from Schopenhauer. He said, thus, the task is not so much to see what no one else has seen, but rather to think what no one else has thought about that which everyone sees. Everybody sees the same thing. But how can we think what they have not thought? Because that enables you to position your company, your organization, and yourself. Because many people say, how can I elevate myself within my organization? How can I increase my value to the organization? If you increase your thinking, you ask questions they can answer. They now understand your value to the organization. Are you with me? Let's talk about the key parts of strategic posturing, which form the framework for strategic thinking. One of the great things about strategy is we don't know if our strategy was successful till hindsight. We don't know that our strategy for this game, for this product, for this new launch was successful until after the fact. That's why when we study strategy, we always go to the furthest part of history. We go to the Orient. So here are the symbols that the Orient uses when they talk about strategic posturing. The first would be, and you can think of it as a triangle with a point or fire. We want to blaze a trail with this product to the new market. We want to lay the track. You're just on the cutting edge of what's happening. That's one posture. So they think of fire as blazing a trail. The second, they think of the earth or the mountains. Because after the storm, the mountains will still be here. So if you're going through a turbulent time and your company wants to establish a strategic posture that says we're going to weather the storm, they might want to take a position of the mountains. And we call that one stillness. Now, the third element that the Orient uses is wind or water, because that is flexibility. If you notice, water always finds a way to get around the obstacles, right? And the ultimate flexibility for a business is when the competition tries to mimic you, you just turn and do something else. Have you ever tried to hold wind? You can't. So they'll never be able to catch you. You'll always be in a winning position. And so the first thing in strategic thinking is, what posture do we want to take? Oh, the next thing is so important. Because many things are competing for our time, our resources, and we know that not every goal is equal. You have 5 things you want to purchase, 5 things you want to do, 4 initiatives for the company. Where do you put your resources? Which one has the greatest opportunity to give you that return on investment? In other words, what we're going to try to do in this next portion, which is called the strategic focus, is how do we align our strategies to get the maximum result? Think of potentially lining up, whether it is dominoes, cards, bricks, where you can hit one and it ripples through everything else. So for the same amount of effort, instead of hitting 4 different targets, dividing yourself 4 different ways, you hit one and you get maximum result from that one strategic decision. The key thing to maximizing return on investment is to establish a relationship between goals. An interesting thing can happen after you go through this exercise. Because in this exercise, we want to establish a relationship between every goal. So you will have arrows and lines going between 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4. And you want to ask yourself, what is the driver in that relationship? What's the driver between 2 and 3? Does 2 cause 3 to happen? Or 3 causes 2 to happen? Now, some of you might say, well, none really has an effect on each other. It's neutral. I want to encourage you not to draw dual arrows because that negates each other. What has more of an impact on the other? Does this impact it or does that impact it? And you should have, since we have 4 goals, you should have 3 lines going in or out of each goal. One of the interesting things that we often see is you might think that number 1 was your number 1 goal. And when we're finished drawing the arrows and their relationship with the arrowhead, we now find that number 3 was really the most important. How do we know that number 3 was the most important? It had 3 arrows going out. The goal that has the greatest number of arrows going out is the driving goal, the one that has an impact on everything else. The goal that has the most arrows coming in is the recipient, and we certainly wouldn't want to put all our resources there. Look at the initiative, the goal that has the maximum drivers. How do we make sure that what we're doing is strategic? Something is only strategic if it moves you forward to your goal, if it moves you and gives you an unfair advantage, element of surprise, if it speeds up your chances of success, then it's strategic. Otherwise, it's just a nice thing to do. In this first box, write the word goal, any goal you might have. And in the top box, label this box critical success factors. Those are the things that absolutely must go right if we want to be successful. What are the things that need to be critical for your success? A new product launch? It could be first to market. It could be expanding a product line. What is critical for you to meet this goal? Then in the second box, we want to label that barriers. What could stand in our way of success? Let's say we wanted to have a new facility. One of the critical success factors would certainly be having the cash, the down payment for the new building, the new facility, the new equipment. A potential barrier could be, do we have the funds to keep that going? Do we have the cash flow, the working capital? So we need to take a look at critical success factors and barriers. Those two things help us to focus so that we are able to develop strategies. When you know what you need to meet and what you need to overcome, everything you do strategically advances you towards the goal. I want to tell you a story. I got really excited when I got an assignment. The phone rang and it said, we're looking for a strategic planner to help us with the Olympics. That's a pretty big deal, right? I'm getting excited. You know, important gig, engagement. Little did I know, I was going to be working on garbage trucks. Yes, garbage. You see, what they wanted was someone to help them build a master schedule of all the activities they had to do between January 1st and July 1st when the Olympics started. Now, I wasn't literally riding on the garbage trucks, but I was in charge of making sure the city was clean. So what I did, I went as high in the organization as I could and asked this visual question. Pretend that the Olympics are over and you're at a major event and everybody is clapping each other on the back and high fives and handshakes. The Olympic was a huge success. With respect to my project, the Clean Sweep project, what has to happen? The answer to that opened my eyes. The gentleman said that we attract more international business to the city. I was focusing on the goal of the Olympics. The Olympics was not the goal. The Olympics was the strategy to get to the goal. Now I ask you, in the projects that you're working on at work right now, are you focusing on what they've asked you to do? Or are you going beyond what they've asked you to do? One of my favorite quotes is from the book, The Road to CEO. Today's knowledge workers have a much greater shot at success if they can think strategically motivate people, and look and act as leaders.